This video is going to go over the glenohumeral joint and the acromioclavicular joint. We're going to look at the joint types and the joint tendons. So, before we proceed, I'm going to go to full view, full screen mode with that button right there. I want to show you the controls. Now, if you hit play, it rotates automatically. If you hit stop, it stops rotating. The other way to rotate is you grab, and you rotate like so, and you rotate like so. Now, this will go 2 squares. I just lost my red plus. And this will go 2 squares this direction. These buttons, these pluses, are on landmarks. These are bone landmarks, the first 4. The black one is the tendons and ligaments. This is actually the picture from your lab book. In theory, it's all labeled. It depends on your view and your browser, whether you get it all or not. This is a really finicky program. So if I click here, I have proximal humerus landmarks. So I am going to go to full screen. So we're looking at 3 bones here. This is the clavicle. This is the scapula. This is the not so funny bone, the humerus. Now, the clavicle, or your collarbone, has a little notch right here where it would be articulating with the manebrium of the sternum. Remember, this is an S-shaped bone. You could trace it from your breastbone, your sternum, back to your scapula, your shoulder blade. Well, this little notch articulates with the manebrium and forms a saddle joint. And it's going to have an articular disc to get even bonus movements. So this is a really movable joint, even though you're not aware of it. Now, this is the round end. It's the sternal end. It gets thinner and thinner as it goes back. And we're going to rotate now to the back. So see how it's getting thinner until it meets up with the acromion of the scapula. So spine of the scapula, superior angle, medial border, lateral border. The spine ends in the acromion. Now, this ligament between the acromial end of the clavicle and the acromion is the acromioclavicular ligament. They really don't mess around with the names. It's like, oh, it's between these 2 things. Let's name it that. Now, this joint right here is a sliding or gliding or planar joint. That means the 2 bones will slide or glide like a plane between each other. And it actually is a very movable joint too. So your clavicle is doing all this bouncing and moving around, or articulating, I should say, with the bones on either side of it. So, we could see a couple other ligaments going from the scapula to the clavicle. So I'm going to keep rotating, and we are going to look at this first one right here. It's going from the coronoid process, remember acromial process, coronoid process, to the inferior part of the clavicle. This is the external coracoclavicular ligament. That implies the existence of an internal one. I can't find it on any of these views. Now, this one is going allegedly in a transverse fashion. It's not transverse, it's oblique. So this is called the superior transverse ligament. So I'm cheating to get a little bit above, to get a little bit better view. I was shooting from below on that. Here's the external coracoclavicular ligament, and this is the picture that's supposed to pop up on my browser. Those names got cut for some reason. This is the superior transverse ligament. Now, here's another one going from, I guess that's the posterior of the coracoid process, all the way to the humerus right here. So that's the coracohumeral ligament. We could see it right here as well. So it's not this one. I'm going to have to rotate just a little bit. So right here, there's the greater turbuckle. It's more attached to the top of the head there. There is the coracohumeral ligament. And that leaves us the biggest one for last. This is a very flimsy ligament, actually. This actually wraps all the way around. It is the glenohumeral ligament. So there's the glenoid fossa. It's going wrapped around that. It's wrapped around the head of the humerus. So we have the head of the humerus right there. And this is going to form a ball, and this joint right here is a ball and socket joint. So you can abduct, that is going out. You could adduct, going in. You can medially flex. This is a weird one. So if you hold your arms So they are at a 90-degree angle with your shoulder, I guess. You could make them go in to clap your hands, and which would be medially flex, and then going out to laterally extend. I'll do a better job explaining that when I talk about the pectoralis major and the latissimus dorsi muscles. So that is our ligaments, and we have one tendon we're going to talk about. There's a tendon right there. This tendon attaches to one of the heads of the bicep muscles. Bicep has two heads, and it's called the bicep tendon. It is technically the long tendon of the biceps brachii, but I just want you to know it's the tendon, one of the tendons of the biceps brachii between the lesser and the greater tubercle. So see greater tubercle, lesser tubercle. So that is all. Thank you very much.